That's right. Getting things rocking again on a Wednesday night. It's Community Corner with EFA and Nano Brooks. We got your live phone calls tonight. Area code 907-723-2024 if you want to call into the show. We got an email address, Juneau Community Corner @gmail.com. If you want to send in your questions or if you have something going on, and even if you just want to sell us something, maybe you want to sell us a set of tires or something like that, give us a call. Let us know. Right here on the show. And boys, Mike and I just got back recently from our little trip up north to Anchorage.
Yeah.
Go to Arctic Comic Con, and it was everything we could possibly dream of.
A lot of fun.
Lots of fun there to go see the wrestling show and everything. But kind of want to open up things and talk about our trip on the second day, the Sunday that actually happened. A little bit more of an Alaska thing that happened there.
Oh, yeah.
One of our good friends from high school, Michael Isteris, gives us a call, and he's like, hey, Mike's like, hey, what are you guys up to? And well, ain't got much going on. It sounds like the second day of Comic-Con is all not that important. So let's, hey, I'm going to be traveling out to Hope today. You guys want to come with? And it's like, yeah, man, let's load up and go do it. Road trip. So, yeah, we drove out past Girdwood and went up to Hope there and checked out the campgrounds out there. And, of course, you know, the very cool venue out there by the campgrounds and the restaurant that was, I forget the name of the place. Well, it was the cafe. Not the Seaside Cafe. There was another one that was out there with that nice little venue.
Yeah.
And the venue was so very cool. It had the big stage, and of course you had a few picnic tables, but everything was pretty much standing room. And then of course you got the high rise right behind it, so anybody who wanted to go up with like drinks or anything like that or food could just stand up on the high rise right above it and look down on this venue. And one thing that I did notice about going back up north is the skeeters. The skeeters, they vicious, and
forgot about that.
They saw a fat guy, and they immediately went, yeah, that's our target.
Creek Bend Company.
Creek Bend, there you go.
Yeah, that was the place.
And then we did stop off at Girdwood, and we went to their pizza place there too, which is fantastic pizza.
It's very similar to
Giovanni?
Down here at the Douglas Pub. The Island Pub.
The Island Pub. It's very similar to the Island Pub pizza. It's really good.
Yeah, it was, what did we get? We got a couple of different, like, barbecue-style pizzas.
We got the barbecue pizza, and then we got the Funk Hammer pizza.
The Funk Hammer, yeah. So, Coast Pizza was the place, by the way. Absolutely delicious. So if there's anybody who's traveling up north and you're passing through the town of Girdwood, you want to go to Hope Pizza or to Coast Pizza and get yourself some pizza over there because that was freaking delightful.
You got to be careful about the timing because in the summertime it'd be crazy out there.
Yeah, we hit it at just about the right time or the right time of year and the right day. Yeah,
it wasn't too busy at all. But our buddy Mike, he gave us a good warning and was like, you know, it gets crazy out here in the summertime with the tourists and everything, so you've got to time it right.
Now, we also tried to go over to this like little breakfast spot there in Anchorage, and I'm going to look it up right now, but this is a pretty popular
Snow City Cafe?
Snow City Cafe. Thank you very much. Okay, Snow City Cafe. So very popular, gets a high rating and everything. And, of course, when you see the pictures of the food, you're all like, oh, my goodness. Oh, that looks so delicious, right? So you get really excited. And we were kind of pumped to actually go have a really awesome breakfast. So we walk into this place, and it's shortly after 11 o'clock. I think we're hitting it right around 11:30. So, you know, church has let out. Everybody is now, flowing in on a Sunday morning. We go inside. Of course, everybody's sitting in the waiting area. And I go up front to tap on their little touchpad there with their Yelp
little kiosk thing,
wait list that you can add to it. And then, of course, when you look at it, it says wait time, 45 minutes. And we're like, nope.
So
turn right around.
If the food looks that good, I'll wait. I'll wait at 30.
We booked it down to Fifth Avenue, down to Humpy's, and we got breakfast.
It wasn't bad
in a very timely manner. It
wasn't bad. You know, get out into a little dive bar, get a little food in our belly, and then head off on the road trip. So overall the trip was a success.
Yeah.
Had a good time. Other than the fact that pro wrestler Rikishi somehow managed to get a hold of our ride.
Yep.
I had got us a Escalade to drive us around town on Monday, where we were going to have to wait a very long time for our flight. It didn't depart till 7:40. So I'm thinking to myself, if we're going to check out and everything, we got to have things to do. Let's just leave our stuff in this car. I'll get us a car, and it'll drive us around town. We'll have something to do before we go to the airport. Well, I got the notification on Sunday. Sorry, we overbooked ourselves, and unfortunately, we're going to have to cancel on you. Here's your money back. And it's like, well, dang, man.
Right. Rikishi stole our ride.
Rikishi stole our ride.
Yep.
Saw him cruising in it.
Pro wrestler Rikishi riding around in our ride.
Stole the limo from the tag team champions.
So welcome, everybody. Juneau Community Corner. We are live. Please like the stream and share it around if you haven't done so already. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube, please do so. And give us a call tonight on any of the topics you hear tonight, any of the topics that you want to discuss, because this is run by you.
Yep.
This is your show.
Yep.
We want you to drive how it goes on here. So please, definitely give us a call. Area code 907-723-2024 and Juneau Community Corner at gmail.com. All right. So what do we got today on the docket here?
Well, we're going to start off with a little bit of bad news. After 18 months of no service, the Matanuska might be dead. The Alaska Marine Highway System, they're waiting for the prognosis. After a full body scan of the state ferry Matanuska looking for rusted steel, the Matanuska has been out of service for 18 months, and after it went into the shop for its annual winter overhaul, only to find a lot more wasted steel in its hull, or rusted steel, decking in other areas of the ship than expected. Printouts from the scan of the Matanuska show a lot of red. Marine architects are working up a cost estimate, but here's the really bad news, folks. The state doesn't have the funds to replace the ship.
And this was the thing that was brought up recently about, repairs is one thing, and we're so tight on a budget as it is already. We're not even sure if we can make repairs to this, much less replace this vessel, and we can't. And, to take this vessel that's been around for 61, 62 some odd years.
Right.
And basically say, sorry, guys, we ain't got enough to replace it.
It might be time to just retire it.
Well, and I don't know if I'm mistaken here, but I'm pretty sure it's the Matanuska. That thing ran aground like 20 years ago, and they never fixed it properly from that point. And now they're like, oh, we got another 20 years out of this rusty ship and we don't have the money to fix it. It's like, maybe if you did something over that 20 years, because they knew that the hull was in compromised condition. And even myself personally, I have welded against running water underneath one of the engines in a bulkhead on that boat so that people could get back from celebration about 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
And the whole hull was rusted then. So it's just like, it was a weld patch about 8 inches by 10 inches, welding against running water, and it took me like 9 hours. And I got it, and people were able to go home from celebration. But that was just one of... There's a lot of spots on that boat that were like that, and that was almost 10 years ago. So it's just like, it's miraculous that the thing ran aground, they never fixed it properly, and it did this much longer.
Right. It just might be time to retire it.
I'm thinking it might
just let it go.
It's kind of bittersweet too, because I know this vessel very well. I've ridden
on
cool
this
at least five or six different times,
Field trips.
Field trips.
Going to Haynes.
Going to wrestling tournaments and everything. So, it's really troubling to see that, we're just not going to have the ability to replace this vessel in a time where our community desperately needs, our communities all around Southeast desperately need the ferry system to work. It almost seems like it's being set up to fail. Like somebody out there really just wants to privatize this.
Well, absolutely. Because if they wanted to make it sustaining 30 years ago when it ran aground, they would have started setting aside money to save up because they know it would need to be replaced by this point, but no one ever did that.
Now we did purchase those very nice vessels that those fast ferries.
Yeah, the fair weather.
Yeah, that were never tested in our type of waters. So it's kind of like the electric bus for the Capital Transit. Right. It's not made for this. Alaska's a different beast. We might want to test these things in Alaska first.
Yeah. It's printouts from the scan of the Matanuska show a lot of red and areas where the steel has lost more than 25% of its thickness show up as red on the report. Some of the worst areas include the card decks, the bow thruster tanks, the hull's double bottom and internal voids between bulkheads and between floors and the bottom of the hull.
Well, then. Yeah, it might be time to just bite the bullet on this one, call it done for the Matanuska, take the loss, and try to figure this out at next state session, because I think that this has to be a priority, not only for our cities, for all of our communities, the boroughs around Southeast Alaska, even up north. But, the state really needs to jump on this because this is a lifeline. We need this. And if at this point we need to start pursuing that private option for our state ferry system, maybe now is the time to consider it.
Well, and if this is the, if this is the last song that the Matanuska is going to sing, I think it might be worth looking into on our city's side of purchasing it, because that would make an excellent warming shelter with a way higher capacity than any building we have in town.
Right. That's
not a bad
idea.
That sounds almost like Mad Max Waterworld style, we're living on the Exxon Valdez, the smokers.
When that happened with the Taku, because the Taku got scrapped, and that was super sad too, but I always thought, I was like, it'd be awesome to buy that and make it a floating paintball course.
That would be cool.
It would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Recycle.
Yeah, recycle, reuse.
Waste not.
That's what I would rename it.
Yes.
The waste not.
That's awesome.
Juneau Vaudeville Entertainment rings in May the 4th, 2024. May the 4th be with you. Tickets online, $20, $25 at the door. You get a VIP seat, $35. Hosted by the Alaskan Hotel and Bar. Doors open at 7:30. Shows at 8 p.m. So if you want to get in on this one, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good time. Something that I might actually be interested to go check out if... No, it's on Saturday. We do our show. Sorry, can't go.
Your podcast priorities on Saturdays.
Yes, indeed. But if you want to go and tell us all about it, you can certainly do that.
Right.
So there you go.
The Alaskan Bar and Hotel. They got a lot going on down there lately. I mean, like
it's one of my favorite downtown bars, just because you walk in and it looks like a pirate ship.
It does.
It's just a pirate ship of a bar, and
I love that back into the 1800s.
I love that they've maintained the music scene around here and helped support it so much, and always being a venue for performers to go and perform their craft.
Right.
It's awesome.
It is.
Yeah. So the Juneau School Board president, Dee Dee Sorensen, says she's retiring. She says the lofty sense of getting elected to the Juneau Board of Education 5 years ago quickly turned to the reality that she was on the pandemic flight. Sorensen announced that she will not seek re-election next year. She told the two newest members they ended up being on the smoke jumper flight. Sorensen's comments were made during a collective self-assessment. Board members gave themselves tough grades on things such as maintaining a culture of mutual trust, honesty, and respect, and offered blunt comments about lacking a sense of direction beyond dealing with the immediate issues at hand. Sorensen, elected to the board in 2019 after teaching in the district for more than 35 years, was reelected in 2022, and her term expires in the fall of 2025.
Yeah, so mainly some of the criticisms that were being levied about this was that, they had this fiscal crisis, which led to consolidation, and it just seemed like nobody could really get their footing through, going through the last few years here of getting this thing under control. And it just seems like,
it's been rough.
Everybody's collectively exhausted.
Right. Yeah. And now look what these kids got to go through next year and forever. Whoever knows how long.
Well, and I'm sure a lot of people want to throw complete blame on her or some of the other members who have been elected within the last 5 years or so. But we've had issues in the school district for a long time, and maybe what happened is that some bad practices got put in place a long time ago, and then every time new people cycled onto the school board, no one really addressed that. It's like, oh, this is the system that's in place. Let's keep working with what's in place without ever looking at the bigger picture of like, is this the most practical, direction for where the school board needs to be?
Right.
Derek, it's good to see you in the comments, man. Thank you very much.
What's up, Derek?
So yeah, school board. I'm sensing a lot, not only with the school board, but with the most staff members. Most people that I know who are staff members within the Juneau School District are getting burned out.
Yeah,
they are being worked, and they're getting tired. And even the substitutes are feeling this, the sting of this. And I don't know what exactly needs to be done, whether it needs to be on a more city municipal level, or if the state just needs to give more funding, or if we need a major overhaul of the education system here in the state of Alaska as a whole, which may be the ultimate solution to the problem there, like Governor Dunleavy was suggesting, right?
Right.
Or all three. But something needs to be done immediately, or you're not going to have enough people to run a school, let alone schools, plural.
Right.
What's the craziest thing is just education on the bigger picture as far as our country is concerned. Not a lot of people know is like the federal Department of Education was made in the mid-'80s. Has our education got better since the mid-'80s?
Definitely not. Definitely not. So yeah, there needs to be an overhaul. And
that might be asking the question though, is just like, with the Fed doing the Department of Education, and then our standard of education dropping severely since then. What was it before the Department of Education that had our educational standards higher, and how can we try and get back to some of those things that prove to be more beneficial on an educational level?
Maybe we should just do what Japan does.
No homework.
No homework. Kids clean the schools. No breaks.
Well, in Japan,
no summer break.
In Japan, the parents hold the standard to the kids. It's like you better perform because your parents said so.
Right.
Well, yeah. I don't know. It's
no, I appreciate summer break.
Summer break. I mean, I don't know if it needs to be like 3 months.
Then I don't have to get up all early in the morning. I mean, I already do, but
I see. Okay, all right. Yeah. It's like, so I could sleep in a little bit.
Right.
Please give them a break.
Don't have to rush getting people around in the morning. I can just buzz off and go straight to work.
All right, here we go. Coming up, this is a community event. The Alaska National Guard Warrior and Family Services presents their annual wellness fair coming up on Saturday, May the 11th from 11 to 2 at the National Guard Readiness and UAS Rec Center Joint Use Facility. It's open to all, but geared towards service members, veterans, and their families. This is going to be a great opportunity for military members to gain access to the resources they desperately need. So if you need more information on that, you want to get a hold of them, contact Louisa at area code 907-321-1157. Or you could check them out online there, and I don't know what the website is, but
scan the QR code.
Scan the QR code, yeah. And you can also find this on Juneau Community Billboard events there too as well, if you want to go check it out on their Facebook page there.
And they got the phone number there at the bottom. It's 907-321-1157.
Yeah, contact Louisa Phillips for more information about that. All right.
Wow. Well, here's an interesting article from Clarice Larson at KTOO, who lays out an ambitious 20-year plan for downtown Juneau that the Assembly is about to vote on. Picture downtown Juneau, where housing isn't as cutthroat to find. Businesses don't close down after the cruise ships leave. And the pressures of tourism don't feel so heavy.
Sounds great.
That sounds ambitious. And it does sound great.
Yeah.
It sounds wonderful. But those are the priorities of a plan called Blueprint Downtown. Over the past 6 years, a commission of Juneau residents has examined every aspect of downtown and created a plan to lay the foundation for the next 20 years. Betsy Brenneman, a member of the Blueprint Committee, explained the concept at a city planning commission meeting last week. She says the intent was to nurture the preservation, restoration, and revitalization of downtown. That's a lot of Asian. Brenneman described it as a vision that could guide everyone from the city government to local businesses in their decision-making. The plan addresses priorities like housing growth, year-round business vitality, and tourism management. It recommends things like revising zoning regulations, increasing public safety measures, and completing the seawalk along the downtown waterfront. Some planning commissioners had questions. Member Mandy Cole said she wonders how much teeth the plan would have to move the needle on issues like the housing shortage. She says, we've done many things to sweeten the pot and still haven't gotten where we needed to get. In my view, this plan is exactly that vehicle for the next 3 to 5 years to try and increase housing downtown by various methods. Others said that they wanted more language in the plan to address short-term rental regulations. The commission voted unanimously at the meeting to recommend the Assembly adopt the plan. Ultimately, the Assembly will decide what aspects of the plan will go into place and when, and we will all be at the mercy of that, because you can present a great idea and these assembly members or certain politicians or whatever, the people who ultimately make the decision at the end of the day whether or not to adopt it, and even if they do adopt it, you know, they always
you're
give and take.
You're very spot on with that.
You know, and it's I notice we're in a world where, like, we make progress on things, we get moving in the right direction, and then the ball gets dropped a few years later, and then we have to start back over and over again.
Yeah, it's justifying time by talking about problems and not solving problems.
Exactly. It would be great. It would be great.
It would be great. They're probably going to adopt it, but there's something else that happened in 2013 called the Comprehensive Plan that did look at everything. Very competent community members, the Assembly, lots of people worked on this, and it laid out a plan for 13 years to end in 2026. And now they're already looking at adding some other new plan. It's like, are they going to conflict with one another?
Right.
What about the first plan? That called for a whole bunch of housing. 13 years later, do we have all the housing that plan called for? So if we adopt another plan, it's like, yeah, that's great. It's great to want these things, but when is someone actually going to physically do something about it?
Right.
I don't see, I didn't really get any hint within the article, or even when I went to go look at some details of the plan, exactly what is going to be done.
Right. How are you going to achieve all of this?
It just seemed more of like, I've got an idea. Well, that's great. You're an idea person.
Right.
You could put it on a piece of paper and everything, but ultimately, how is it going to be done?
Right.
How is it going to be accomplished? I didn't get a whole lot of that, other than this is a great idea.
Right.
Now, the Seawalk, okay, yes, I'm really getting tired of hearing this Seawalk. I understand it's of great importance to several people within the community that the Seawalk get built, and there's a lot of contracts writing on it. But is it really necessary at this point for the city, considering some of the things that we're having to deal with?
The first two questions that should be asked are, can we afford it? And do we really need it?
Well, and there also, it's just like there's lots of focus on, downtown development plans. It's just like only a fraction of the community lives downtown, but a large portion of the focus, energy, and resources go into that area. So it's like, let's get more housing out in the Lemon Creek area, out the road, Glacier Valley, North Douglas. It's just like not all of this has to happen downtown because there's no space. The infrastructure is garbage. The utilities are not very good.
But that's the thing is the capital city. It's all like, yes, our downtown is great. It's historic and everything, and it's booming during the tourism season. All right,
it's not what
or
makes,
the visitor season.
It's not what makes Juneau.
That's
Juneau.
not the beating heart of Juneau right now. And if we want to be a viable city as the capital city moving forward, you hit the nail on the head right now. Look at the infrastructure within the city. If you look at some of our roads just out here on Douglas, where we're streaming from, the road
Douglas
alone just getting here is it's a mess.
Oh yeah,
it needs to be handled. We have an issue with a second crossing out on North Douglas, and we're talking about getting housing out there in the valley. What about more housing out toward North Douglas area and having that second crossing available to increase our population, to make it more viable for somebody to come here and live,
instead of being like, let's do all the new housing development downtown, and then any new person who wants to come into the community is immediately have to compete with the most expensive real estate in the entire community, because that's all the resources got put into making new stuff for.
Right.
And also, it's not only just the roads and stuff like that. Half of the water supplies for buildings downtown are made out of galvanized pipes, which is a health risk. It's a hazard. And this all happened back in the day when downtown was getting developed. You couldn't rely on barges constantly. We didn't have the regular shipping schedule like we have now, so you used what you had. And there is a lot of what you had still laying off in the ground, giving people their drinking water and stuff like that.
You could go to any beach and see it.
Yes.
Yeah, just give me a really awesome infrastructure plan that focuses on getting everything up to date, upgraded, so it's more attractive for, people to come here and live. And then we can talk about putting in fancy little sea walks and things a little bit later when we paid our bills.
And then when you have to have the foundation before you have nice shiny things on display and stuff. And it's like, that foundation is our water, sewer, roads, and electrical. That's the foundation.
You know what I do like seeing that went up recently? Is that new search building out by Safeway.
The Vintage Park facility is awesome.
Yeah.
That is a very, very cool facility.
Yeah.
That's a nice.
Yeah. And it looks like they're starting to get ready to build something in the lot next to that.
Yes, I'm very curious what that's going to be too. And it's like, it's great to see that land's finally getting developed, because it's such prime real estate and good business areas, and it's going to bring awesome economic development to the community.
Our Safeway went up in 96, 97, and those lots have been
they have been
ever since. So I like that. That there's a medical facility there for in close range to all the old folks home out there.
And they also got a pediatric physical therapy out there and stuff, it's like services for kids.
Right.
And then also the building that's going up by the new gas station along Glacier Highway and stuff is like, that looks like it's going to be a pretty awesome building as well. Right. It's like, I like seeing development in the town, more. Especially when it's not all focused in one area or region, because this community is very vast and, just to always talk about and focus on and look at one area.
Downtown.
Well, no, the downtown does so much for the community and stuff, but it's not all the community.
Like, chill out a little bit with downtown, okay?
Well, it's the first thing people see, of course, and it's and what they closely identify Juneau with, other than the Mendenhall Glacier back in its prime, because the photos that we have now, not so pleasant.
Oh, look at the whale.
So give us a call here. Tell us what you think. Area code 907-723-2024. You can email us, junocommunitycorner@gmail.com. And, of course, like the stream, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Last Chance Mining Museum is looking for the best sourdough and the best sourdough stories coming up Saturday, May the 18th at 11 a.m. You can bring your sourdough baked goods to the Last Chance Mining Museum at the end of Basin Road, right across Gold Creek and up the hill. It's free. You can win prizes. And if you need more information, you can give them a jingle. 907-780-4355 if you need more info on that.
I am a heathen when it comes to sourdough bread because people will work so hard on cooking a beautiful loaf and give it to me as a present. Like, what you're going to want to do is get nice slices, get some fresh butter, and I just punch my hand in there, pull out a handful, and just start eating in front of them.
Nice.
I love me some sourdough.
You sourdough guy?
I'm a sourdough guy.
You don't like it there?
Shame on you.
It's okay. You can say it. You don't.
I'm sorry, but sourdough bread is absolute trash.
Boo.
You know what you do? You know what you do with a fresh hot loaf of sourdough bread?
Eat it as fast as you can.
You toss it in the trash immediately. What a waste of ingredients.
Have you had sourdough pancakes
to
before?
produce something so disgusting?
Shame.
Sourdough anything is gross.
You've never had a good sourdough pancake.
I've never had a good sourdough anything because sourdough is gross. It's just disgusting.
Do you eat any McDonald's breakfast sandwiches?
Yes.
Those are sourdough muffins.
Yeah, but they don't taste like garbage.
It's sourdough.
It tastes good though. No. I'm talking about loaves of sourdough bread. Fresh sourdough. That stuff is absolute garbage.
So much boo.
Garbage.
Boo.
Trash.
Boo.
I will not be in attendance.
Bye, everyone.
Speaking of boo.
Wade, bro, Wade, I understand you may have some anger issues, but why are you screaming and yelling and spitting in the faces of your employees at Subway for the public to observe?
We had a little discussion about that before we
you are an awkward little man.
Before we left for our trip there, when we heard some of his employees hooting and hollering at each other in the back there.
Boo me for not liking sourdough bread? No, boo you, Wade.
You wouldn't get a sourdough foot-long sub from Subway?
Hell no. Not even.
You know, I like being a devil's advocate. You know, the stresses the guy deals with is a lot. You know, and you know, we don't know what goes on in people's personal lives. Sure, it's not good to have displays like that in public. You know,
the thing is he's got a pattern of doing that though. It's not like that's the first and only time he's done it to his employees. I've heard lots of stories of that. It's bad for him.
It's bad, but he's pretty open about talking about his path to sobriety and things like that, and he's a few years of not drinking now, and maybe back in the day that played a factor into it. So like I said, I'll be the devil's advocate on that.
Maybe he's a dry drunk,
there's things like that,
right? But anyways, the Juneau Assembly has rejected peace. The Juneau Assembly rejected a symbolic resolution calling for a bilateral peace agreement between Israel and Palestine in a 2-5 vote Monday night. Residents packed the assembly chambers during the meeting, and more than a dozen testified in favor of the resolution. Many wore the colors of the flag of Palestine and shirts with the message, "Ceasefire now." After the vote, which came at nearly 11 p.m., some people with a group called Juneau for Palestine said they felt misled by the assembly. Sonia Kumar testified on Monday night. She's one of several residents who have regularly attended assembly meetings in recent months to advocate for a resolution. She says, I feel powerless. Like, what can I do? I can talk to my assembly members. I can talk to my legislators. We talked with Mary Peltola a couple of months ago. Not a single person is listening to us, though.
I've kind of felt the same way about this whole thing, is that we're all just kind of, for those of us who are pro-Palestinian, not pro-Hamas.
Right.
Thank you.
Big difference.
Big difference. It feels like, just for saying that we're pro-Palestinian, that we want peace, that we want ceasefire, immediately we are put into a category with very unsavory like people.
I'm just anti blowing up innocent civilians at a 92% rate.
That's what it is. Like, no human should ever want other humans just blowing each other up.
Right.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
And, I said on the last time, my stance is we shouldn't spend taxpayer money stating the obvious.
Right.
There's a task of the assembly, and that's to focus on things in the community. What the lady did about going to Peltola and the legislators, that's where you can actually have something done about it. If you get all the legislators to pass the motion and they make that into Alaska law and enough states do that, that's how you strong arm the Fed. You get enough states to do it. But now what happened with it being brought to the assembly is that no one got pleased.
Right.
Our time and money got wasted, and the problem is still happening.
Right.
So it's unfortunate. If I was sitting on the assembly and it got brought to the assembly by someone, I would vote for the ceasefire. But if it was up to me to bring it to the assembly, no, I wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, it's like you were saying, a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about it. I mean, like, is this really something that the assembly should be?
But it's not something the assembly as a body should do, but it's something that every human should want. You shouldn't want anyone killing other people. And if you're going to take the stance of like ceasefire in Gaza, there should be a ceasefire in Ukraine too. Let's stop funding both of these conflicts.
Right. Let's see. George Partlow said that he was testifying Monday night on behalf of his great-grandchildren. He says, when my great-grandchildren read the history of this time and the suffering of other children, Palestinians and Israelis, and ask, what did you do about it? I hope the answer will be, at least we spoke out against the violence. The resolution does not mention the word ceasefire. Assembly member Paul Kelly introduced it, but ultimately voted against it. In an interview after the meeting, he said he should have brought it to a committee first so it could be discussed and workshopped before going to the full assembly. In retrospect, I probably should have asked it to be introduced at a committee, so I do regret that, yes. Some testifiers were upset with Kelly and with Assemblymember Wade Bryson, who they said was playing on his phone instead of listening during the meeting. One person, while testifying, asked Bryson to get off his phone, but he did not. Bryson voted against the resolution's passing. So yeah,
I was talking with Jason about this. I'll devil's advocate on that again. Maybe he takes notes on his phone.
Maybe.
I find that hard to believe. Listen, again, you can play devil's advocate, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'll just say, okay, maybe he was taking notes on that. But I'm also going to tack on to that. I find it hard to believe that that's the case, and I feel like in this situation where a community member said we feel like we're not being listened to, I think,
especially in person,
I think I think Bryson did exactly that.
It's a total
ignored it.
Yeah, it's even if it's
just my personal opinion and not the opinions of my two other co-hosts here.
Well, here's my opinion. even if you don't care, or if you're not going to be in support of what's being presented to you as an assembly member, it's a big slap in the face to your constituents and to your community as a whole, to present yourself in such a dismissive, I don't care manner.
And that's where I won't devil's advocate it. I will say that, yeah, as an assembly member, you're a mouthpiece for the community, and you're there to speak on their behalf and represent the members of your community. And if they are getting the impression that you are not listening to them or paying attention, then you need to do everything you can to let them know that you are listening and you are taking it to heart. So, yeah, if on the chances he was writing notes and someone had mentioned that, is like, if he was doing notes, then he should go up afterwards and be like, hey, I was listening. These were the notes I was taking on what you're saying, but that didn't happen. So can make our assumptions.
Yeah. So bad form.
And that's the thing. It's like, at the very least, is like, look up when someo's talking to you.
Right. And that's what I got out of this article here. And you know, I have to say that on the city level, I would like to see city officials unite and say, we are for peace. We should probably tell, you know, everybody that we're for ending this war and calling for a ceasefire.
If that's what they are for.
Yeah, if that's what they are for, you know. I personally would like to see it. I know I'm not going to get it. I understand it, and I understand your point that, you know, it's probably better done on the next level when it comes to your representative like Peltola.
Yeah, on this level, it's very...
But this was the one that really got me going, is where, you know, I hear from people, I don't feel like I'm being listened to, and then you actively do the thing that they're feeling.
Right.
So you've just confirmed their perspective.
Right.
So their perspective is now reality.
And that doesn't, on another side, it doesn't make people feel welcome in their own home when their representatives don't listen to them, like, regardless of whether that's what's going on or not. If that's what the person feels and stuff, is like, then that takes away from the enticement of keeping them here in the community.
Right. Is this what voters voted him in for, to get on the assembly? Is for him to treat them badly?
I'll go through and watch the video when it gets released and see how bad the offense was.
Right, we'll see, and then we'll review.
And that's the thing. It's like, I'm never gonna just. Was that a Empire or KTO?
That was a K2 article on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, they're a bit more credible and stuff, but you know, some publications I can't take it just at cover value. You know.
Right.
Yes, I understand completely there. Let's see here. Yeah. There we go. Let me bring this up right here. Friday, May the 3rd at 7 p.m., host of the CW's Totally Funny Animals, Andy Woodhull, is going to be performing at the Elizabeth Paratrovich Hall, the Elizabeth P. Hall. Get your tickets on evenbright.com, and go join them for a night of funnies. It was kind of funny because I was asking you before, am I pronouncing this correctly? And I pronounced it perfectly, and you're all like, oh yeah, that's fine. And of course, I'll
tell you what, I've never met one Indian. I've never heard one auntie or one uncle pronounce it Paratrovich. They all just say Paratovich.
Paratovich. Okay, Paratovich it is.
There was a Paratovich woman who married one of my cousins up in Anchorage, and she pronounced it Paratovich.
Okay.
So I know directly from a source.
All right. So, yeah, there's my butchering of the name there. So, sorry about that, Afro Man. Elizabeth P. Hall it is.
The old A&B Hall there. Just, if you're having a tough time with that. So, continuing on with the assembly, only a handful of residents spoke up about next year's proposed $560 million municipal budget during the Juneau Assembly meeting on Monday. Aside from the expected objections to a mill rate increase, the concerns mostly came down to a $3 million rewrite of the city's land use code and spending $859,000 for an elevator at the Diamond Park Field House. The proposed budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st includes a $521.5 million operating budget that funds most municipal spending and capital improvement projects, plus another $38 million for the Juneau School District. It also proposes a 10.32 mill rate, up from 10.16 mills due to the cost of the city and borough of Juneau taking over 3 buildings from the school district as part of a consolidation plan to deal with this district's financial crisis.
Wow.
The budget contained in 4 ordinances is in the early stages of the Assembly's annual review process, and with the initial draft introduced April 1st in the Finance Committee, beginning a detailed department-by-department overview on April 6th. City Manager Katie Koester says, Kester. Okay. Katie Kester said the next step is fine-tuning the budget during the coming weeks. She says in the Finance Committee, over the next few weeks, the Assembly will be making amendments to these 4 ordinances and hearing them in great detail. And then they will come back to the body for another public hearing for the public to make comments on the changes that the Assembly has made before the adoption.
Now, did you say $3 million to rewrite the land use section of the charter? Is that what it's saying?
Yeah, that's what it says.
That does not cost $3 million to throw away half of that useless document. I've read that land use portion of the charter, and it is nothing but just red taping any type of economic development and planning for this community. So literally all that needs to be done is throw away half of it and then just continue on. I'll do it for $200.
Is this
I'll do it for $200.
Could this be a parliamentary procedure thing where they have to go through a $3 million rewrite? Do they have to go through a rewrite, not necessarily having to throw anything away? Or is this something that they could actually just vote on and say, let's toss it?
Yeah, they can toss it. They can toss it. The reason it's going to be $3 million is that they're probably going to have the lawyers draft the entire thing, and it's probably going to be 3 times as long as what's originally there. And it's, it's about that much of a stack. And, lawyer time, $300 to $600 an hour. But you don't need to add anything. It's like you just need to take away garbage, and you don't need to have a law degree to see what the garbage is and remove it.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at that. I'm just saying that if all it takes is somebody just voting on it, if they vote on it and just toss half of it, and they don't need to go through a big old rewrite, then that seems to be the more feasible option. But it sounds like somebody just needs to give their cousin a job.
Well, and it also is like we've got these organizations coming up with 20-year plans. And, maybe we need to think really hard about how these new sections of the charter are going to work with these new plans and things like that, It's like when it comes to, operating instructions or just, things that make it to where people can, excel in their own lives and help support the community. It's like the more basic, the better, It's kind of like when we were talking about on the last program about the funding for schools, how they want to allow funding for private and religious institutions. That's to achieve getting homeschoolers, getting the parents paid.
Right.
If that's the goal, say that.
Right.
It's just like they want to generalize stuff in anticipation for things that have historically never happened in the state. And that even goes back to the founding of the Constitution, how they did the city and boroughs. As like when people say that we have one of the most well done constitutions in the entire country, that other states look up to our Constitution, other states haven't read ours because we're like the last ones to make one. What it did is that the people that wrote our Constitution looked at all the other states and was like, we're going to do something completely different that's never been done before. And we made the city and boroughs in anticipation for a type of growth that's just never happened. And now we're stuck with bad roads and paths for growth in our state and stuff. And no one's ever considered repealing it, But
right.
It's getting to the point where it's like, yeah, we need to kind of kick these things down the road because they haven't worked for us for the last 60 years.
The second public hearing is scheduled for early June, with the Assembly required to approve the final budget by June 15th. See, they among the agenda items for the Finance Committee's meeting, scheduled 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, are grants and community requests, Eagle Crest Ski Area, and general obligation bond options. And an objection to the mill rate increase was voiced at Monday's meeting by Charles Van Kirk, who said as a property owner in Juneau for more than 50 years, that he's upset with the decisions local leaders have made about the school district that are costing the CBJ money, including hiring a person to monitor the district's finances. And the increase will be a disincentive to people moving here at a time when Juneau's population is declining. He says, we need to do something to lessen our taxes, increase the incentive for people to be able to live here. How do young people make it when they're making $16 an hour? It doesn't work.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Land
Plain and
raffle.
simple.
Land raffle. Land raffle.
Right.
Land raffle.
Land
We'll
raffle.
fix us all. Land raffle. Give the land to the people. Stop city. No, you
Right.
don't need it. Give it to the people.
City's got enough.
Give it to the people.
Yes.
Land raffle.
Yes.
Just it's amazing to me that anybody can afford housing these days. And I mean, even
It's
on
tough.
the rental level.
It's tough.
Yeah, I just
It's
had my
ridiculous.
cousin move in with me so we could both save money. And
Right.
it's not
Yeah.
like we're getting paid $16 an hour. We both get paid decent, and we still
Right.
is like, hey, let's move in together.
Yeah.
This is rough. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's
man.
ridiculous.
Yeah. To see that mill rate increase, though, that's just
Well,
that is
and
so
but
concerning.
there is something else to keep in mind is that I can't remember who it was that did the My Turn article in Must Read Alaska. I think it might have been Wynn Gruning, but we are about to satisfy a debt or a bond obligation. So if we don't start any new buildings and projects or anything like that in the next few years, the mill rate will literally go down to like 7. And it's like, but the city really does not want to let that happen. So when you were just saying earlier, they're going to talk about bond obligation options
Options, yeah.
because they won't ever consider just doing away with it and
Right.
not starting a new
Right.
project
Right.
and putting some relief on the people's pocket.
This is all good stuff. I like this.
Oh, this is the big one.
This Saturday, the Juneau Juneau Maritime 2024 Maritime Festival will be held May the 4th, this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can join them at the P Hall, Paradovich Plaza, down by it's the Paradovich Plaza, down by the downtown library on the deck over. This year's festival promises to be bigger and better than ever before, featuring a range of exciting activities that are sure to delight visitors of all ages. You can join them for harbor cruises, live music, a kids' corner, a beer garden, a record-breaking 90-plus local vendors providing a diverse range of unique and locally sourced products. The Juneau Maritime Festival brought to you by the Juneau Economic Development Council. This is always a fun time, so go check it out.
I also saw on someone's post, I think it was Liz Perry with travel best management practices, but she's had a post about crew members from a U.S. destroyer that will be at the Maritime Festival,
cool.
and that would be
That's cool.
pretty cool to talk to those
Nice.
guys.
Yeah. This is always the big, it's springtime here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
this is cool.
No, I mean, there's stuff. It's all like, yeah, visitors and everything are a little difficult to deal with. But, you know, the thing that I do love about springtime and summer is that events really pick up here in town.
Yeah.
Things are happening. People are all about it. And so, like, if you want to go and do something and be a part of something, this is the best time of the year for it to be all going down. So
I'll probably just go find a nice little honey hole to go fishing.
just a nice little fishing spot. There you go.
Go away from everybody and go fish.
A banker I know got a king and some dollies out at Boy Scout Beach last weekend. It was just like, there's a spot.
And that was something we were talking about over the weekend when we were on vacation, man. And I might as well just break down, get a skiff, and we need to go out and go fishing, man.
Yeah, just go trot around the channel and
Yeah.
out of Lock Bay.
Yep.
Definitely it's that time of the year.
Yeah.
So that's what we got for you tonight, everybody. Thank you for everybody who joined us and hung out with us. Feel free to leave your comments down in the comment section. We'll be back next Wednesday right around the same time, around 8 p.m. there or so, and we'll take your live phone calls. The number is in the description of the video. And, of course, give us an email, junocommunitycorner@gmail.com. If you have any questions about any of the topics we discuss, anything that you want to bring up, or maybe something you want to sell. It's all here for you.